Well, hello once again, everybody. Welcome to the Pantheon project. We're here to talk about our first race reveal for Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. And here with me, we have Nightangel and Steelheart once again. And I'm Dashivah. And we're here to talk about the Ogre that they revealed, guys. The Ogre. Now, we don't have a picture of them, but so far from what we've read and what they released, what do they look like?
Large. Behemoths, twice the size of man. That's pretty large.
Brutal behemoths.
I like that.
Now they did stay nearly twice the size of man, but these are smaller ogres.
Yeah, smaller, smaller, but twice the size.
Twice the size of man, but smaller ogres. I don't know if I can imagine these as the scratch their butts ogres from EverQuest 1, like just.
Oh,
I don't know.
that.
Remember that? Remember
Yeah,
that?
if they stood still too soon, they'd be like. No, I actually
Probably.
I actually think this is probably going to be a very savage looking race, probably muscular, defined. I don't think it's going to be your big fat Humpty Dumpty ogre walking around scratching his butt.
Yeah, exactly. And so they were talking about the origin world of these ogres, and it's Grundrak, or how would you say it? Grundrak?
Grundark.
Grundark. I don't know why I'm thinking Drac, but Grundark, or Grundark, whatever you want to say. And then their language, Grun.
Self-explanatory.
Yeah. They're from
Grun
Grundark.
from Grundark.
Well, the ogres were never a very intelligent race either.
No,
so
that's probably the only word in their language. Grun.
But the language we were talking about this earlier kind of brings an aspect we might see back into this game like old EverQuest, where people would sit in a circle of different races and communicate with each other until they learned each other's language.
Yeah.
We remember those language circles. Those were pretty neat. It was a really neat aspect of EverQuest that I don't recall ever seeing since EverQuest.
Yeah. Like EverQuest 2, you just did a quest and you learned a language, but never actually had to sit there and physically learn a language.
Yep.
So, yeah, and so we'll see how that plays into it with the language being mentioned. It mentions their current homeland is Icehammer Steppes, and their pantheon is the Shattered Maw, which is a little remnant of their picture, or the picture they gave us, right? The Shattered Maw.
Mm-hmm.
The Shattered Maw.
So you could say
Big
there.
hammer.
Yeah, big hammer.
Big hammer. But also we get a hint at I guess you'd say kind of a zone name there, Icehammer Steppes, and that to me that sounds like you couple that with the color of the Pantheon, which is an ice blue, and the hammer almost looks like an ice hammer almost. I'd say we're looking at a cold zone, ice, snow, kind of like a permafrost or an everfrost or something.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, they talk about having dense muscle that wield titanic weaponry and thick blubber to mitigate the harsh environment.
Maybe we are talking about a Humpty Dumpty ogre after all.
Muscular and blubbery.
Yes. We're talking about Shrek here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, going to the environmentals, that we're talking about with the climates. So the ogres are built for the colder climates, but that's going to put them at a detriment when they go into the desert climates, right?
Yeah, because we already know that they're trying. Now, they said it's going to be hard to do, but they are trying to make climates affect different races, different classes, everything. So, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And so this definitely doesn't seem like the class that's the race that's the popular race, because of not only how they look, but just how they are perceived throughout the world. It says that whether it's by choice or by exile, the ogres, they're just moving south, or they're trying to look for work and everything, but their reputation as ogres, these big blubber things, is just, they're brutal, and and they're often just tolerated, but nobody wants them there.
Yeah, and Knight brings up a really good point about, Shrek. It's kind of sounds like a Shrek now that you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Nobody
And
likes him or nobody understands him.
Nobody
he's in his
understands.
little world.
Yep.
But they do say that they're moving south in search of mercenary work, so it leads me to think that, that little town on the water there, I think that'd be a good home for them, right?
Oh, that just speaks mercenary.
Mm-hmm.
It does. So what type of classes do y'all think that the ogre may be?
That's a tough one. Given the choices that we
Dark
have
Knight.
Right now.
Dark Knight.
Big ol'
Maybe, but I don't know. Maybe something we haven't seen yet, because I just don't see them as being. Well, obviously they're not going to be a crusader. There's nothing light about them.
But I could still see him being a crusader, maybe.
Maybe the crusader, but not the paladin.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That would be weird. The Dark Knight, yes, but I don't know how well they wield magic. So would that go well together?
I guess it all depends on what type of ogre they're using. If you remember in the Dragonlance Chronicles, the ogres were the most beautiful beings in all of Krynn until they were cursed by the gods or something, and they were a magic wielding race.
Oh, that's true too. I love that series.
But they're described as blubber, so I don't know if they're most beautiful.
Muscular
and blubber.
But it's interesting that they're part of the planar shifts, right? So they came to Terminus by one of these planar shifts, and they were thrown in now this new world, and they're having to adapt, but they're still savage and merciless. So there's like that power struggle, right, for survival. But then they're also having to deal with bringing their deities into Terminus. So, what do you guys think about that as far as bringing their culture over into the human world?
That just seems like that's the big. What word do I want to use? It's what causes so much tension in the world, because everything is from a different world, and every pantheon is from a different world, but it's all coming together, and so that's what's causing the strife and the war or whatever there may be in the world. And so the ogres are no different. They're literally aliens from another world, but they're getting mixed with other aliens from other worlds, and they're trying to survive on this one planet now. So
pretty much, but they're divided among themselves.
Yeah. Right. They're fighting constantly. It's always a battle with them, and so I don't know. And even so, even with their deities, it says, since the deities had become god kings because they were brought down from god status because of the feuding that they were doing, the gods decided to come down and take part of each individual clan of ogres. So I thought that was kind of interesting too.
Yeah. And they talked about another area, the foothills of Strontaine Mountains.
Yep, another region, I guess. That's interesting. Maybe part of the steppes, I guess.
Yeah.
This is the foothills of it, so.
That makes sense. That make a lot of sense.
Yep. So not necessarily the strongest race when you think of maybe background, because it just seems like they're so divided and they're two different zones and everything. They don't have like really one king to look to or one leader to look to. They're divided in that way, and so. But if you're thinking about story, it plays for an interesting story for a race, right?
It really
Absolutely.
does. Really does. It you can see almost having separate factions within the ogre clans themselves that you may have to contend with while doing quest for either one, or maybe actually being pitted against either faction.
Yeah, or maybe one faction is dark, one faction is light.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could
Maybe.
be.
If that kind of mechanic would be in this game.
Well, they also throw a little wrench in there. They say recently there's been hope of mending a fractured pantheon with the unexpected arrival of the plunder god Jordan, a deity thought to be lost between the worlds of Grimdark and Terminus. So maybe there's hope for them to reunite as a race.
They found God.
Could be.
they found their
Could
one.
be.
Yeah, yeah.
However, how does that play in? Because they said that their race or their pantheon was the Shattered Maw, so I don't know how the Shattered Maw would feel about Jordan taking in.
I might not be so happy about that.
They're just a mess.
They are all over the place.
Yep. So brutal behemoths, blubber, large,
muscular blubber,
titanic weaponry. Kind of just what we expect from an ogre.
From an ogre.
Twice the size of. I really want to see that scale. Twice the size of man. You know, that's pretty.
But I want to see the bigger ogre.
Yeah, that's the small one.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's just what we know, just a little bit about the ogre and what we're guessing, what they will look like, or maybe classes they will play. And so that can end our discussion on the ogre, and look for the rest of our discussions on the rest of the classes that get revealed, and also the races. And the next race we'll be talking about is the Revenant. The Revenant.
Revenant, yes. Very interesting race. Can't wait to talk about that one. And also, once again, you know, if you haven't looked at Pantheon, if you're just discovering our cast for the first time and have never heard of Pantheon, make sure to go to Kickstarter and go to Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. Kickstart it. This is going to be an amazing game.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks you guys for the chat, and we'll see you on the next race chat.
See you there.
Bye, guys.